What is the problem in couples therapy? The problem, let's look at it here, is the way people interact. And basically the problem is they interact in a way that makes safe connection and engagement impossible. Basically, they scare the hell out of each other. So let's have a look at two people doing that. Do you love me? Of course I do. How many times have I told you? Well, it doesn't feel like it. Well, perhaps you have a problem then. I can't help it if you don't feel loved. So she has asked for love in an angry way that's going to be threatening to her partner. Her partner has basically turned around and said, your emotions are your own problem, they're nothing to do with me. This is a complete setup. It's going to escalate. She says, right, so it's my problem, is it? Nothing to do with you, right? Nothing to do with your 10 feet thick walls. You're an emotional cripple. You never felt a real emotion in your life. I refuse to talk to you when you get like this. So irrational, there's no point. Right, this is what always happens. You put up a wall, you go icy, till I get tired and give up, and then after a while, when you decide you want sex, you decide I'm not so bad after all. There's no point in talking to you. This is a shooting gallery. You are so aggressive. If you're a couples therapist, you've seen this dance 1,000 times. It's the classic, one person criticizes and pursues and demands, while the other person shuts down, stonewalls and withdraws. And the more he withdraws, the more panicked she gets, the more she demands, the more she demands, the more he withdraws, and this couple are stuck in a rigid pattern of blame withdrawal, escalating negative emotion. They're just caught in a feedback loop. The essential issue, though, is that there is no safe emotional connection possible here. There's just escalating danger and isolation. This is a picture that somebody sent me that they said they thought this describes modern marriage. Only I think it's slightly out of date because actually the man would have a screen in front of him, not a newspaper. But I want you to note here that the issue here in this picture is not conflict. From an EFT point of view, conflict is just part of an escalating cascade of distress that begins with this. It begins with emotional disconnection. And what we try to do on one level with couples is show them how to deal positively with those moments when they feel emotionally disconnected. Can you imagine what would happen in this picture if these two people could suddenly turn and reach for each other? The whole picture would change. EFT assumes that there are key elements, key things that have to happen to create change in couple therapy, to create what we call second order change. That is, not just to modify some of the symptoms, not just to make people a little bit less nasty in fights, or increase their satisfaction a little bit. We're trying to create second order change. We're trying to reorganize this pattern of interactions that a couple have to create a whole new kind of positive bonding relationship. The 5 basic moves of EFT, which you would see an EFT therapist doing all the time, right from the beginning and end of therapy, again and again, is reflecting the present process. Could you help me? You keep saying that you feel, you just feel cold right now. Could you help me? What happens to you? What happens to you as you feel cold? And so you go in and reflect the present process, and you help the person say, I don't know. I think maybe I'm just trying to stay away from all this. Maybe part of me has just given up. Okay? So you reflect and expand present process, or you reflect with between process. You say, could you help me? You just turned to him and said, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. And you turned away and said, well, then maybe I should get a divorce. Could you help me? Is this what happens at home? So we reflect what's going on, the most powerful thing that's going on. And then you'll see the EFT therapist go and explore emotion. Could you help me? Do you turn and say this all the time at home? I'm just going to get a divorce? Well, I don't know. Maybe I do. Could you help me? I'd like to slow that down a bit. I'd like to know what happens to you in the second before you turn and threaten to leave. And he says, well, it's like she's won the game already. There's nothing I can do, and that's my last card. It's like I'm saying to her, if you're not going to ever turn towards me, I'm going to have to leave. I'm going to leave. I'm trying to get her to hear me. So that's a shift. So then we help him stay with that, talk about his desperation, and start to create an enactment, a new interaction where he talks about that primary emotion, which is his sense of having given up and his despair. He turns and takes that, creates with a new experience that we have helped him access, then creates a new signal to his partner. So he moves from deepening his emotion to clarifying that emotion. The therapist helps him turn it into a clear new signal to his partner. So he's able to say, I do threaten to divorce you. I do. I don't know what else to do. I feel like I've lost you already. I can't bear it. I've lost you already. And that fills me with despair. That's a whole different message than he's been giving her for the last 5 years. So we set up powerful enactments. We process the enactments. We say, what was it like for you to tell her that? He says, it was scary, but it felt good. We ask her, what was it like for you to hear it? She says, it's new. I don't know what to do with it. I have no place to put it. So we help her listen to it and react to it. And then we go in and we integrate and validate. We tie a bow on it. We tie a bow on what they just did. We say, hey, look what you just did. You just stopped, looked at what was going on in your dance, and inside in your feelings, you shared new feelings with each other. You were able to respond to each other. That's amazing. And the message we give is, you can do this. You can understand your relationship. You can make sense of love, and you just did it right here. So what we're trying to do in EFT is create moments again and again of safety and success, new corrective little emotional experiences as the couple go along. The dropout rate in EFT is very low in clinical practice and in our studies. And I think it's really because the therapist is always doing this. People feel listened to, heard, the way we work with them makes sense to them. They start to feel they can make sense of their relationship and they can change it. So then they'll stay and they'll struggle. They'll struggle to do that.